Okay, so now we'll continue our discussion on the third phase, that is on the changes in the relevant sections of Chartered Accountants Act 1949. Now, if you really ask me, some change in section number 2, subsection 2, we'll discuss this in detail about deemed members in practice. A very interesting section. I'm sure you all have understood this really well. There is a change in the management consultancy services list. Some additional services have been added there. Then there is some change in the maintenance of the branch office, very minor changes. And then you remember section number 7, using designation other than chartered accountant, not allowed to chartered accountant holding a COP. Some changes there as well. Other than that, no major changes once again. Okay, so let's get started. We'll start with section number 2, subsection 2. Section number 2, subsection 2, members deemed to be in practice. It's anyways a very important section, and I'm sure all of you have understood this in detail. See, what is the logic behind this is, so there are a lot of services which is normally expected from a chartered accountant holding a COP to perform. So there is something called as management consultancy services. Now there's a list of services given to you. Normally it is expected that it is a chartered accountant holding a COP who performs these services. So let's say there can be a situation that you're performing these services but you don't have a COP. And if you don't have a COP, that means you are not covered by part 1 of first schedule and part 1 of second schedule. So there are a lot of offenses which are minor and major in nature, which are applicable only for a practicing CA. But you are saying, so let's say we have started a company officially. Institute has allowed you to start a company, management consultancy company. Yes, I'm telling you once again, you can do audit as an individual, as a partnership firm, or as a LLP audit. Okay, but if you want to provide management consultancy services, you can open a separate company altogether. That also needs to be registered with the institute. But the main objective here is that when you're providing these management consultancy services, maybe let's say you don't have a practicing certificate also, but still you're providing these services. So for reading of Chartered Accountants Act 1949, so while considering your offenses, we will count you as a practicing member, and we will also consider the part 1 of first schedule and part 1 of second schedule. That is why these members are called as members deemed to be in practice, because they are performing those services which normally a practicing chartered accountant provides. Do you get my point? This was an overview to you on section number 2, subsection 2. Okay, so now the major changes is in the list of management consultancy and other services. Now in this, you remember these your first 4 services regarding financial management planning, financial policy determination, capital structure planning, working capital management. If you are providing a service regarding tax implication of all these 4, then also it's absolutely fine. You can continue to provide them as a management consultancy services. So the tax implication part for these 4 is also allowed. Next, valuation of shares and businesses and advice regarding amalgamation and mergers and acquisition, absolutely allowed, no problem at all, this service. Then some additional services. You remember your insolvency professional in terms of insolvency and bankruptcy code. Can you act as an insolvency professional? Yes, it is absolutely allowed. That is an additional service added. Nowadays, even administrative services. So it's not just the consultancy services. So till here it was all about consultancy services. Now they've added a word administrative services. So this is little too much, I think, according to me. Even if you're making smaller changes in the documents of a client and all, that will be covered under administrative services. And even that is part of your section number 2, subsection 2. See, administrative services involves assisting clients with their routine and mechanical task, where maybe you're not using your professional experience or judgment, but you're doing more of a mechanical routine task. Even they are part of your administrative services, and they are also part of your section number 2, subsection 2. See, such services will require little to no professional judgment and are clerical in nature. Can you see example? Word processing services. You're making changes in the Word document, preparing administrative or statutory forms for client approval. So you want to apply for a GST composite scheme, and also you're helping the client while filling up the forms and all, submitting those forms on behalf of your client, or monitoring the filing dates, like your TDS filing date, your GST return submission date, and also all that, overall comes under management consultancy services. Yes, although it is part of administrative service, but that is also covered under management consultancy service. They've also given you an example of a GST practitioner. All of them will be now by default part of management consultancy services. So yes, if you're providing these services, you will be a deemed member in practice while reading the provisions of Chartered Accountants Act 1949. So this was an addition. Other than this, I don't think there is any other change. That's it. This was your section number 2, subsection 2, deemed members in practice. I'm sure this is clear. Okay. Let's go to another section. Let's go to members in practice prohibited from using a designation other than chartered accountant. Section number 7. I told you clearly, only chartered accountant can be the designation used by you if you are a practicing member. Now here, can you see they've given you clarification. So let's say if you're a director of a company, member of a political party, you have a position in club, only chartered accountant as a designation is allowed, no other designation. You are a member who's also cost accountant, you can use ACMA, FCMA, you cannot use cost accountant completely, that is not allowed. Permission to mention qualification of certain institutions. So you remember there are a lot of MOUs or mutual recognition agreements with the Institute of Ireland, of Canada. So our Indian member can hold their membership by writing 1 or 2 exams. Their member can become member of ICA by writing 1 or 2 exams and by submitting the fees. So yes, you can mention that you have membership with all of them, but the designation has to be only chartered accountant, remember. Other qualifications, even in, let's say you get a permission from the council and you can continue to hold a practice certificate as an advocate. Still, advocate cannot be used as a designation. If you're providing normal CA based services, you have to use chartered accountant only. I'm sure this is all crystal clear to all of you. Can a CA applied for a merchant banker or as an advisor? Yes, it is permitted. See, the member may apply for and obtain registration as a category 4 merchant banker under SEBI rules and act as an advisor or a consultant to an issue. But remember, in client companies offer documents and advertisements regarding capital issues, what you can mention is you can say that you are acting as an advisor or consultant to the issue under the caption. You can use only this caption, advisor consultant to the issue. The name and address of such CA firm should not appear prominently. That should not be allowed because it will lead to needless publicity or unnecessary publicity. I'm sure you are aware of this. Now, maintenance of branch office. I'm sure you are aware of this, that normally a separate branch in charge is required for every branch office what you have, unless that branch office is within the same city, in the same premises, or within 50-kilometer limit. I'm sure you know the calculation of that 50-kilometer limit option. Remember this example? All of you must be aware of this. So these are the exceptions. But now the important question is, let's say, I'm not talking about the exceptions. You're talking about a separate branch in charge. Now, how do we ensure that that separate branch in charge is actually working for that branch or not? So for that, additional clarification has been given. Now they're saying, as a branch in charge, either you should be residing in that city for more than 182 days. See, the requirement of section 27 regarding member being in charge of an office of a CA in practice or a firm shall be satisfied only if member is, mark the word, actively associated with such office. And how do you identify whether they are actively associated? Such association shall be deemed to exist if the member resides in place where the office is situated for a period of not less than 182 days, that is 182 days or more, or if he attends the said office for a period of not less than 182 days in a year. So let's say I might be residing in Pune, but I'm attending the office in Bombay for more than 182, that is 182 or more. If I'm attending, then also it is fine. I can be said that yes, I'm actively involved. There can be a good question here because this is recently included. Other than that, all your exemption all remain same. So this was your discussion on the sections of Chartered Accounts Act 1949. Now you remember your council guidelines regarding your write-up and website is given to you. Some minor changes there. Let's discuss. In case of write-up, you cannot contain any information about your achievement or awards except, mark this, can you include awards given by central and state government or regulatory bodies? Yes, that is allowed. Now, can you use any catchwords or monograms, that is special 2-3 words in your write-up? Not permissible. You have to mention your membership number and firm registration number compulsory in the write-up. The font size cannot exceed 14. You should not violate any of the provision of Chartered Accounts Act 1949. Obviously, that's absolutely fine. Can you see advertisement through write-up? Can you use passport style photograph? Earlier it used to be passport size photograph. Now the size can be big also, but the style should be passport style. I'm sure when you go for your passport, you remember your ears should be clearly visible, your eyes should be visible in such a way, your head should be like this. So there are some restrictions for a passport style photograph. Same thing is applicable here now. Can you mention in your write-up? So let's say nowadays I'm a chartered accountant holding a COP. I'm practicing individually, that means as a sole proprietor. I have also started separately a management consultancy company. I got this registered with the institute and I am a director in this management consultancy to provide, you remember section number 2 subsection 2, your management consultancy services. Can I open a management consultancy company? Yes, it is allowed. And if I've opened that, can I mention that in the director that I hold a position of director or MD in a management consultancy company registered with the institute? This is allowed now. This is additionally included in your write-up component. For firms, can you mention your affiliation with the network register? You remember network firm is a recent guideline brought in by the institute that you can make a network of your firms, get it registered with the institute. You can mention that in the write-up. This is allowed. Website of the CA firms, I'm sure you all are aware of this. You cannot issue any circular or any other advertisement is not possible on your website. The basic information need to be there. Can you display passport style photograph? Once again, not passport size, passport style. Okay. Then can you mention about your social networking sites? Yes, but you should not try to solicit people by forcing them to go to respective pages. That should not be allowed. Your website should ideally work on the pull mode, where if they want to really want information, they can request you. You should not be pushing more information to the clients. So basic contents. Online third party platforms, very interesting. Now there are a lot of third party platforms where chartered accountants can publish themselves that okay, we provide these services. So we have a Tax Sutra, cleartax.com. These are third party platforms where you might project that yes, you are a chartered accountant, you provide a lot of management consultancy services. You cannot promote or advertise yourself for statutory audit or attestation function. See, a number of non-chartered accountant firms, corporates including banks, financial companies have set up their own websites providing advisory services. Such websites may request chartered accountants to provide consultation and advice. Yes, it is allowed. No services other than consultancy. So consultancy services you can provide, your attestation services you cannot advertise through those platforms. Publication of name or firm name by chartered accountant in telephone directory. Yes, I'm sure you would have read this. It should not appear in some other section. It should not appear in all places. Wherever you open the telephone directory, you see my firm name ideally. Ideally, there should be a proper list of all chartered accountants. In that alphabetically you should be mentioned. The directory should be circulated within the restricted areas. It should be included in the name of the trade, social trade. So, basic understanding. Nothing great out here where you should be really focusing on. Just go through this once. Then yes, application based service provide aggregators. Now the classic example is urban company, where you can call a AC repair guy, where you can call a painter, carpenter. So it's an aggregator platform. Can a CA become part of such aggregator platform? No, it is not allowed. It is not permissible for member to list themselves in an online application based service provider aggregator where other category of people are also listed. So if it is only for CAs, then maybe it is allowed. For other people are also open, then it is not allowed. Specialized directories for limited circulation within a respective areas. If it is open to all chartered accountants, you can be a part of that. Now let's come to discuss summary of Council General Guidelines. Now here there are some major changes in few of the chapters. Starting with chapter number 6. Tax audit assignment. I'm sure the limit is 60. All of you are aware of under section 44 AB. Remember, if you are doing tax audits under 44 AD, ADA, ADA1 and all, they are not counted while calculating the limit of 60. I'm sure you are aware of this. Just more clarification out there. Next one is about appointment of auditor in case of non-payment of undisputed fees. You remember, if a provision is made in the financial statement of an audit fee, auditor has signed on this, directors have agreed to this, that can be called as undisputed audit fee. So you remember, if there is a pending undisputed audit fee, you cannot accept as a incoming auditor appointment of a engagement unless that undisputed audit fee is completely paid. So you remember, even demand draft needs to be made. See, for the purpose of this, the provision for audit fee in account should be signed by both client and the auditor, and there is a word called as sick unit. So if the audit fee is pending for a sick unit, if you remember earlier, sick unit was simple any entity where their negative net worth is there, it can be called as sick unit. Now they changed the definition. So it is a unit which is registered for not less than 5 years and which at end of any financial year has accumulated losses equal to or exceeding its entire net worth. So let's say if my net worth is 10 crores, if my accumulated losses at the end of any financial year is 10 crores or more, so even it is 10, you are considered as a sick unit. But remember, you should be registered for not less than 5 years. So there's a change in the definition of sick unit. In case of sick unit, if the undisputed audit fees is pending, you can still accept the engagement. Because of the tag sick unit, you could not have paid the fees. That is understandable. So this definition of sick unit has undergone a change. And remember, the provision made for the audit fee where both have signed, that will be called as undisputed audit fee. That was your chapter number 7. Chapter number 8, specified number of audit assignments. Now if you remember, your section number 141 subsection 3 allowed you that a chartered accountant holding a COP, either individually or maybe as a partner, can take care of 20 statutory audits. But what was not included in these 20 statutory audit? Your one-person company, your small company, your private companies where paid up share capital was less than 100 crores. So let's say you are doing audit of 15 listed companies and 5 those private companies where your paid up share capital is more than 100 crores. So this will be included for the calculation of 20. One person company, you can do n number of audits. Small company, you can do n number of audits as per Companies Act 2013 I'm talking about. Now as per council guidelines, the number is 30. As per council guidelines, the number is 30. Now what all is included in 30? So whatever which was included in 141.3 is included. That means I'm talking about all your listed companies, unlisted public companies or private limited with a paid up share capital more than 100 crore. Even other private limiteds will be covered in 30. Let's say even your paid up share capital is less than 100 crores, that means 60 crore, 50 crore, 40 crore, they will be covered in 30. So ideally your listed, unlisted, private, all combined should not be more than 30. But this does not include one-person company and dormant company. It does not include one-person company and dormant company. See carefully. The specified number of audit assignment means in case of a chartered accountant in practice or an individual person, 30 audit assignments, whether in respect of a private company or other company. Only exception is one person and dormant company. So till intermediate level, they would have told you the limit is 20. You don't care about number of one-person companies. You don't care about number of dormant company, small company, even those private limited with paid up share capital less than 100 crores. You did not care about the number of that at all because that was not covered in totaling of 20. But here 30 includes those companies also. So the only exception what you need to see is one-person company and dormant company. Other than them, all other companies will be covered and only a maximum total number of 30 will be allowed as per council guideline. Remember that this is very, very important and this is per chartered accountant. So if you are a partner and if you are practicing individually also, total should not cross 30. I'm sure this is clear to you. Then, okay. Chapter number 10, appointment of an auditor when he is indebted to a concern. You remember this indebted is covered under 141 subsection 3 also. Indebtedness guarantee. For indebtedness, the limit is 5 lakh. So the 5 lakh will remain for companies. For other than companies, the council guideline says it should be 1 lakh. See, a member of the institute in practice or a partner of a firm shall not accept appointment as an auditor while he is indebted to the concern or has given a guarantee or any security for limits fixed in the statute. So it is 5 lakh for indebtedness in case of Companies Act. So it will remain 5 lakh. Or in other cases the amount exceeding 1 lakh. So in all other cases the amount will become 1 lakh. Once upon a time it used to be 1,000 and 10,000. Now it is 1 lakh. If there is a unjustified removal of the auditor, obviously it needs to be communicated to the ICI. Guidelines on tenders, you all know really well. Normally, you are not allowed to, become part of, be respond to the tenders ideally, unless it is open to other professionals also. Or, so there are situations, exceptions. If let's say tenders are invited from everyone, it is open to all professionals, no problem at all. If it is, let's say, not open to professionals and a minimum fees is prescribed, see, a member of the institute shall not respond to any tender issued by the organization for professional services, blah 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 blah. Mark this. However, such restrictions shall not be applicable where minimum fee of the assignment is prescribed in the tender document. It is clearly mentioned the minimum fees is this much only. Then you can respond to the tender. Or that tender is open, or the areas are open to other professionals also. Even if the minimum fees is not prescribed there, it is open for a chartered accountant. You can respond to those tenders. But for other situations, the minimum fee should be prescribed. UDIN guidelines, I'm sure you are aware of this, that UDIN generation is required for all types of certificates from first Feb 2019 onwards. Then it was July 2019 onwards. For all GST and tax audit reports, for all other audit attestation services, you have to generate UDIN number. Yes, the UDIN for audit attestation function was covered specifically under second schedule, part 1, clause 9, which we discussed in the last lecture. For all other, it's covered under chapter number 14. Chapter number 14. Guidelines for networking. So now Institute has come up with, so the detailed guidelines on networking will come in your syllabus in future. Right now they just given you a brief overview. Okay, you can form a network of firms, get it registered with the institute, comply with their guidelines. You can mention that in the write up, you can mention that on the website. It is permissible. Okay, follow that guidelines. Some examples are given to you. Then comes your logo guidelines. Again, only ICI logo can be used, only ICI logo as per their restriction, the respective colors, and only that way it can be used. Guidelines for corporate form of practice, important. Remember I told you, now a chartered accountant who has a COP can also form a management consultancy company. Corporate form matlab, corporate form means company. It is allowed, but it should be registered with the institute. So can I say a chartered accountant was anyways allowed to become a normal director in any company, but can I become a MD or a whole-time director ideally for this management consultancy company? Yes, remember that. But remember, this management consultancy company can only provide management consultancy services as discussed in detail under section number 2, subsection 2. For audit related services, you have to still focus on your as an individual level or as a firm. See, the council has decided to allow members to hold office of MD and whole-time director of a body corporate within the meaning of Companies Act when it is engaged exclusively in rendering management, consultancy and other services permitted by the council. The member can retain full-time COP also along with the MD. So basically I can be a full-time certificate of practice holder also. Along with it I can be a MD or a whole-time director in case of a company who is exclusively made only to provide management consultancy services. Remember, this is allowed. There is no restriction on quantum of equity holding. You may have 100% equity, but remember, it is clarified. No audit practice can be done in corporate form. You cannot do audit practice under that name. Audit practice has to be done either in individual name or as a partnership firm or LLP. I think that is clarified clearly. Similarly, ethical compliances, independence compliances will become applicable. Your objective of management consultancy is clear. You can provide only the services allowed under section number 2, subsection 2 under management consultancy services. Only those services can be provided. Let me clarify once again. A chartered accountant who has a COP practicing individually can also start a management consultancy company. So these two both can go hand in hand. No special permission is required. You can be MD or whole-time director. You can have 100% stake in this. You can form a 1% company and do this. It is absolutely allowed. So this was the major effort, guys, on discussing the amendments related to your sections of Chartered Accounts Act 1949, regarding your clauses, regarding your overview of Code of Ethics, and regarding the council guidelines in detail. I'm sure we have discussed in extreme detail all of them. This should have been helpful to you. I would request all of you to still go through the entire chapter once again. Focus on this and focus more on the clauses and the sections of Chartered Accounts Act 94/99 and even some council based guidelines where good questions in exams can be asked. We'll continue our discussion on amendments regarding remaining chapters in a separate lecture. But majority amendments on professional ethics and peer review and quality review, where major chunk of amendments are, we have discussed them in detail. So ideally, according to me, there are very minor amendments in small chapters. The most important ones from May 21 and November 21 are done. I hope you guys are keeping safe. Please stay home. Thank you. Enjoy.